Hey everybody, this is Jenny Miner McCombs, the Addict Empath, going live to celebrate a very powerful moment. I recently just watched a newly released TEDx talk from a colleague of mine who I'll nickname my secret keeper, LH, for the sake of anonymity. Now, I'm going to speak directly to you, LH. I have to say, I just listened to your talk and I literally have 4.5 pages of notes in front of me that I'm going to go through in this video where I celebrate your magnificent talk. And I see that it's only been 4 hours and that it already has 308 views, and that is indicative of your success. I can't wait to see those numbers go up. In the meantime, I'm waiting for my TEDx talk to go live. I did one virtually for TEDx Youth at Sunset Beach.
I don't know that one.
That was a random Alexa. I'm in my daughter's room. Sorry. Anyway, I know that I was meant to hear your talk in this very moment when I saw it. And I'm writing a 6-book series called the Drowning in Madagascar series. I have mentioned it from time to time in the Thought Leader program. This is very special for me, and I hope it's very special for you. I called you LH, and I said that you were one of my secret keepers. And indeed you are, which means that I am extending a rare privilege to you in this moment. As of right now, you are officially a secret keeper. And the 5th installment of my series is entitled My First Secret Keeper. And I'll send you a link shortly after the video that goes into more detail just what it means to be one of my secret keepers. Book 2 is called Amidst Love's Deepest Shadow. It is a book which centers around my personal belief in deity and my higher power. When I saw your video and when I clicked on it, I knew instantaneously that your video was a gift. It was a gift that I needed to hear in that very moment. And for that reason, LH, you have the privilege of having not only 1 book, but 2 dedicated to you because of the impact of your talk just hours after it went live. So I dedicate in this moment book 2 and book 5 to you. And I want to go over some of the notes that I took when I listened to your powerful narrative. How to achieve wealth on your own terms. You had said, what if I never make enough money and stay poor for the rest of my life? Now, like you had mentioned, I grew up in a household where I never had to worry about finances. My parents never had to worry about finances. My dad owned his own business in drywall construction, and my mom had the privilege of being a stay-at-home wife. I never had to worry about being provided for, and I never thought anything of it. I didn't know there was a different way to live in my youth. That changed when I got married at a very young age, at the age of 20. And my whole entire adult life has been defined by my poverty. And I have a book in my series entitled My Former Sweetheart, and that is book 4, having my divorce just finalized this last March. And when I say that I've been in a life of poverty, I'm not trying to offend my former sweetheart. I'm just emphasizing that this has been my reality my entire adult life. And I do have that fear now that I am no longer married, being a single mother with 6 children, in ages ranging from 17 down to 3. I want to promote your talk while simultaneously promoting mine. And that way we can both benefit from this narrative. You said what it must feel like when you don't believe in yourself. Now, I'm a passionate mental health care advocate. The birth of my advocacy began last year. I think my memory is so bad. When I saw a man who suffered from addiction in the ACU where I worked, and my story will be revealed in my own talk. I have believed in myself for so long. Once I knew that I was going to be an advocate, I knew that it was my higher purpose, my calling, and my passion. Unfortunately, when you live with the physiological brain disorder that I have, in addiction and substance abuse disorder, relapse is common, expected, and absolutely devastating for thousands of people across the world. The reality is, when I started the Thought Leader program, I fiercely believed in myself. I thought that I was largely devoid of fear and largely devoid of shame. And now, all these months later, despite the fact that I have given a TEDx talk, having not seen the fruits of my labors yet, having faith that hopefully I will, I have found over the last several weeks that I do not feel as if I believe in myself. And I'm holding myself accountable that I have been relapsing. Now, I have told people that I'm very proud of my sobriety from polypharmacy abuse, Adderall, Xanax, Ambien, and oxycodone. And that is true. I'm so grateful for my sobriety from prescription medications. That being said, I am a full-grown woman with a physiological brain disorder that continues to drive me towards self-destructive behaviors. Having recently just gotten over a cold, I've been taking copious amounts of NyQuil and over-the-counter antihistamine and diphenhydramine and Benadryl. I do have precursors that has left me more vulnerable for addiction with a high metabolism, and I don't want to start ranting about my story, but I have been taking too much. I have been abusing over-the-counter Benadryl inadvertently, and it has been a problem for me and if I'm going to be 100% accountable, not just days, not just weeks, but months, I have inadvertently been falling back on that when I've been triggered and scared. And the number one trigger that I have in my life right now is, in fact, my poverty. And you had said that we need to follow your happy place and understand that this is the foundation to wealth. And I know that my advocacy is my happy place, and I have had passion. And while my primary motive is to uplift and inspire and give hope to people who suffer in my capacity, as well as the people who care for them and family and friends and loved ones, I have no shame in admitting that my secondary motive is for financial gain. And this is why. Because currently I have $18 in cash in my wallet. I have $15.81 in one checking account. And the other account I have negative $101.99. And every day I have creditors hounding me from student loan payments, small credit cards that I had used earlier this year intending to build my credit score. ever since my divorce finalized, we are in a non-traditional situation where I pay child support to my former sweetheart, and the percentage is very high. Currently it's half. It's 50% of all my earnings. And so I have been struggling to pay my thought leader bills among everything else in my life. And I have had that mistrust with money that you had mentioned, and it is debilitating because I was psychologically triggered yesterday when I went to Walmart because I can't afford to buy my kids presents. Luckily, I have an extended family member who blessed me tremendously with gifts for my children, to which I'm eternally grateful. But I was triggered because I couldn't buy food. I didn't have money to buy enough groceries. I couldn't get my kids stocking stuffers or additional gifts that came just from me. And that was very triggering. And I am emotionally bankrupt. And it is eating at my soul. And my fear, the fear that drives addicts such as me all over the world to make impulsive and irrational decisions, defines me as well, despite the fact that it's antihistamine. Regardless whether or not I abuse alcohol, illegalities, cocaine, meth, heroin, marijuana, it doesn't matter the substance of choice when it comes to the complexities of addiction. Admitting freely that I've been abusing Benadryl is no worse or no better than any other substance that people can be addicted to. And so I don't feel like I'm better or worse than anybody else. And you said that it is more important to see the value in ourselves before we allow money to define the worth of us. And I am broke. And you had said that being broke does not mean that I am broken. And I thank you for that powerful statement, because I do feel broken, and my pervasive fear has been propelling me and pushing me into my illness. And you said that we have the power to choose a more trusting and abundant relationship with ourselves. And I try so hard to trust myself. And I try so hard to have an abundant relationship with myself. And that is something that people all over the world take for granted, because for an addict, you can trust yourself one day and lose that trust the next. You can trust yourself 1 hour at a time and then lose your trust in yourself the next, and on it goes over and over. Because I don't trust myself right now. And I want more than anything to align my actions with my desires, as you had said. Once we align our actions with our desires, my desire is that I remain sober from anything that can cause me harm. That is my desire. And I try to align my actions with my desires every single day. But for several days, my actions has not been in alignment with my desire, because the physiological degradation in my central cortex that indicates and controls memory, reason, logic, impulsivity, and rationale has been continuously compromised day after day, week after week, and month after month. And it's hard not to punish myself, because my actions have not aligned with who I am, and they have not aligned with my desires. And you said that we could succeed on our own timeline. And you said that you had years of eating yourself alive with comparison. My timeline is forever irregular. My timeline cannot be consistently progressive. My timeline can go back and forth, up and down, hour to hour, month to month. And it has been eating me alive. And I compare myself not only to other people, but I compare the person that I am in this moment right now to the person that I was yesterday. And I compare the person that I am now to the person that I truly want to be tomorrow. And I am an addict. But do I look like an addict? Do I look like an addict to you? You said you weren't a Jones. Do I look like a Jones? Do I look like an addict? I am different, just like all of you are different, in my own unique way that you had said. My advocacy is about trying to own it, just like you said, to celebrate every step you take, no matter how large or small. I took a step backwards today when I abused Benadryl yet again a few hours ago. I took a step backwards. This video to you is my step forward. By praising your talk, by praising your message, and by acknowledging that your talk was a gift to me from my higher power that sustained me and gave me hope, and 4.5 pages of notes that I can cling to because of you. Lifelong growth is worth it. And I am trying to teach myself to enjoy the whole journey, despite my illness, despite my impulsivity, despite my poverty, my irrationale. And I'm trying to be brave. And you said that your bank account, no matter how large or small, you can proudly pursue your own unique definition of wealth. And that was poignant to me that you said we could define our own definition of wealth, because I was going to read you one of my journal entries, but I left it downstairs. But what it said in a nutshell was something that I wrote November 5th, and it said, I feel trapped. I've felt so trapped lately. I'm trapped in my poverty, trapped in my fear, trapped in the desperation that I feel all the time to come up for air and breathe. And then we celebrated my youngest daughter's birthday, and her name is Olivia, and she just turned 3. And with all due respect to my former sweetheart, he's in a situation right now where he does live with his parents, and he does, we do co-parent, and my children spend a lot of the time over there. I lost my train of thought all of a sudden, but he had wanted to throw a birthday party for our daughter, and he loves family. He's a big family man, and I admire that about him. He wanted to invite a cousin over and some second cousins to celebrate our daughter's 3rd birthday. And living under his parents' roof presents challenges for him that I try to respect. His mother didn't want him to throw a party for our 3-year-old because in her eyes she didn't think that she needed it. She's only 3. You don't need to go all out and invite extended family and whatnot. And that was her stance and her opinion, and her house, her rules, you know. And I thought about that when I had spoken to him. And I thought to myself in that moment, I can hold a birthday party for my daughter. I can hold it in my home that I'm renting. I don't have to ask permission from anybody to celebrate my daughter's birthday in the way that I want to. And that was freedom for me. And that was someone telling me that I was not trapped, that I wasn't as trapped as I thought I was, because I had the freedom to invite my former sweetheart into my home and to say to him, let's celebrate our daughter's birthday on our terms, the way that we want to celebrate her birthday, and not the way that your mother does. And that's a freedom that I have despite my poverty. And it's a freedom that I have despite my illness and my impulsivity and my fear. And so that's what we did. We celebrated my daughter's birthday on my terms. And even though that may seem small, it was empowering for me. You had encouraged people to listen to that voice inside their head, to listen to that inner voice. And that was poignant to me, because for people who suffer from addiction and substance abuse disorder, there is no singular voice to listen to. There is 2. There is the person that I am, and there is the narrative that defines my actions. James Fry called his inner narrative the fury. And he mentioned in that book, just hold on, hold on. He had to say, I am sitting on my hands. I am sitting on my hands. Just, if I could just hold on and get over the impulses and let them pass. And that is what I've been trying to do, to just hold on from one day to the next, as my narrative and my second voice of conflict that is always pervasive and always with me and always punishing me when I mess up. And I follow that narrative not because I want to, but because I am driven to, because of the cognitive deficits, the physiological cognitive deficits in my mind and my brain that drive me to override my logic and my God-given desire over and over and over again. And I want to be a fierce female leader that can make an impact just like you, despite the fact that I'm always torn in 2, and I'll always have 2 voices, and that during times of success it may get softer, but that it's still always there, waiting in the back of my mind for me to mess up and slip and succumb to my disease. I know that my advocacy was meant to be my wealth of joy that you mentioned, by giving more. And I do believe in my deity and my higher power, and so when I listened to your talk, I got down on my knees and I said, if I am meant to go through this illness of addiction and substance abuse disorder, and if I am meant to remain in this imperfect state, if I am supposed to not be able to break these bad habits that I keep succumbing to, at least maybe I can create new habits that are good. And I want my advocacy to be my wealth of joy, because I want people who suffer like me to learn from my pain and to learn from my vulnerabilities and to draw strength from my candor. You said that we could amplify that whisper into a rampant roar. And my narrative is a rampant roar right now. A roar that is incredibly difficult to quiet. A roar that is incredibly difficult to maintain, to repress. And a roar that does not define my worth. And you said that this rampant roar could lead you to your richest adventures yet. And it's a hard concept for me to grasp that my narrative, my rampant roar that is destructive in nature, can in fact lead me to achieve success. But it does in the way that every time I fall, I'm more determined to try harder. And every time I succumb, my resolve strengthens to do better, because I know that I continue to suffer from physiological deficits that define my disorder, but do not define me. And I hope that when my TEDx talk goes live, that it will indeed lead me to my richest adventures yet. And I have faith that it will. I have faith that it will. Thank you, LH, for the power of your message, for the strength that I drew from it. And someday in the future, you will know that amidst love's deepest shadow, my second book, and my first secret keeper, and my fifth book, are both dedicated to you and the power that your message left on me. Love, Jenny Minor McCombs, The Addict and the Path.